painting the people who are protesting genocide as the people who are unhinged. They are trying to pretend that the hate is coming from the people who oppose genocide, as we've seen a coalition between the police state and Mossad-sponsored, Zionist-sponsored counter-protesters. So as the ruling class created this story out of nowhere, they manufactured a story. Joe Biden is planting the idea that people who oppose his foreign policy are hateful and anti-Semitic, because he reaffirmed once again that people who protest against his war against Israel are inherently being anti-Semitic. That is what he was saying in his speech. Because of course he would call people who are protesting his government anti-Semitic or racist. So as our government, the entirety of the social justice warriors in white America, are pretending that the anti-genocide protesters are anti-Semitic and they're spreading hate, you have Zionist counter-protesters who are constantly being recorded saying, "Free Palestine!" Now here are the Zionists also throwing fireworks. There are Zionist counter-protesters that are being funded by the capitalist authoritarian thugs in our country that support Zionism. I'm going to show you guys that here very soon. This is them assaulting the protesters. The police doing absolutely nothing about it because the police is siding with the new age Pinkertons, because now we got the Pinkertons are back, guys. The Pinkertons are now serving Zionism. The capitalists are now hiring private armies. The capitalists are hiring private armies to enforce their will, and they are working with the police state. And fam, I have receipts for you guys, and I'm going to show you guys because I can back up everything I say. Here it is right here. Free Palestine! Hey! Watch out! Watch out! So you have that act of domestic terrorism. Can you imagine the headlines that will run 24/7? 24/7? That if there was fireworks fired by anti-genocide protesters into pro-Israeli law, that would be headlines for weeks and weeks. Never-ending story, never-ending investigations into what happened here. But not only is it not mentioned anywhere in the corporate media, Biden's not going to mention it. Democrats not going to mention it. The same people saying you had to protest peacefully, they're not saying a goddamn thing about this. They're not saying anything about this because let me read the description here. You have the counter-protesters that are working with the pro-Israeli protesters, which are the Mossad, without a doubt, being bankrolled by the Zionists as well, that are here to fight people at UCLA. Now let's listen to this. Huh? You guys hear that? Let's go back. You guys hear that? Bro, as they are telling you, there is hate speech at pro-Palestinian protests, anti-genocide protests, as I said, I should say. You have Zionists that are constantly being recorded saying the N-word at these protests, especially in a very hostile way. This is one of many videos of Zionists attacking Palestinians while calling them the N-word. Here it is again. Where are the liberals calling this out? Where are the Democrats calling this out? Now you guys see why RBN is strongly against Zionism. Now you guys see why there's been a long time connection between the African American community and Palestinians, South Africans and Palestinians. Now do you guys see why the Black Panthers had a strong connection with the Palestinians? And then liberals, oh my God, the Black community is betraying us. You guys are racist Nazis. Guys, the amount I've been called the N-word since October 7th, I can't do segments about it. Guys, if I was to tweet a screenshot of every time I was called an N-word, every time I was called a monkey, every racist comment that I got in replied to me by Zionists ever since my coverage of ever since I would say October 7th, since people cared about this, I would tweet about it nonstop. So there's no point in me doing that. So I'll show you guys this. This was a recent reply section of a recent viral tweet. Guys, if I were to show you guys this stuff, I would tweet about this nonstop 24/7. So when people are like, why do RBN talk about race so much? So all you people that are like, why do RBN talk about race so much? Do you guys understand that every member of RBN get this shit every single day? As you guys tell us not to talk about race, this is the shit that we get every single day, and it comes from the Zionists. This is me calling out the amount of money that we sent to Israel. Quiet down, nigger. Calling out blacks being weak. Call me a welfare baby. Even though, once again, guys, I sold cars. I made good money selling cars. I always pay my taxes. I'm a law-abiding citizen. But these are the racist comments that we get for opposing Israel. These are the racist comments that we get for opposing our system. But then white people in our comment sections be like, why are RBN always talking about race? As we have Zionists who control our country, who are vicious, anti-black racists. God, this is just one screenshot of many I can show you guys. And this is in response to my friend, a good friend of mine, who, because you gotta know, anyone who I'm friends with is also fighting this fight with me. This is a really good personal friend of mine. Fighting a good fight, because if you're not fighting this fight, you most likely not a friend of mine. That's just how it works. She calling out the IOF. And this Zionist, you guys see the Israeli flag? I guess it's easier to live as a ghetto single mother whose baby daddy left as soon as you got pregnant to live on welfare checks, sucking Americans type hair dry. Isn't that right? Not knowing who this person is, they know she's a black woman and assumed that she's a ghetto single mother. You guys see the racism that we see every day come from Zionists? And dude, the amount of tweets you will see like this is endless on Black Twitter, where we just showing screenshots like, guys, you got liberals, you guys know these are the people that you sign up with. These are Zionists. These are Zionists every time they see a black person speak out against their genocide. Every time an Israeli see a black person speak out against their war crimes, this is what happens. But how many times do we mention it? We don't mention it a lot on RBN. But then the white boys will come in our comment section and they be like, RBN, why you talk about race so much? As these people fucking run our country. Zionists run our country, and they are the racists that we were talking about. Oh, you think I only got one receipt, my friends?
Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Hey, you all do shit, keep it going. Do something about it. Do something about it. You won't do shit. Do some shit.
Y'all heard that? Bitch ass nigga, he says. Do you understand the media that we would be subjected to at a 24/7 clip if there was footage of anti-genocide protesters saying and doing this stuff? Imagine if there's a Palestinian at a directed at a Zionist, even let's say a black Zionist, even saying, "You bitch ass nigga." Do you understand that would be ran 24/7, nonstop on TV? And this is going on as Joe Biden is calling our protests hateful. This is going on as RFK Jr. is calling our protests hateful. You have Zionists that are being filmed and they cannot stop saying the N-word. They cannot stop saying insanely racist shit. And as this happened, they condemn us, the people who oppose genocide, as people who spread hate. Do you guys see the game they're playing on us? Here, Brianna Joy Gray saying, "Why do Zionists keep saying the N-word?" Once again, as this going on, the entirety of white America right now is talking about how the people protesting genocide is spreading hate. As this is going on right now, white America passed a bill that condemned anyone who protests Israel as anti-Semitic. They are calling the protests against genocide violent, as Zionists literally have their own Pinkertons. They're literally hiring a private militia in order to assault people who are protesting the foreign policy of another country. Here's from Hotspot, my brothers and sisters at Hotspot once again. Armed Jewish group attacks over 200 dress. So there are over 200 armed Jewish groups. Sorry, I'm reading this wrong. There are over 200 people armed they dress like Proud Boys. They dress like those Fed boys. And they're attacking protesters, around 200 of them. Here are some photos. So this is the Zionist private.
Pussy ass bitch. Pussy ass bitch. Pussy NPC. NPC. No place in this world. Fuck you. Fuck you. Why are you out here by yourself? Hey, stop!
This is a person being violently assaulted by the Zionist mob while being called all sort of names. You know, hateful language. There's a lot of hateful language there. And where are the cops here? Here's another Mossad agent, Zionist domestic terrorist, who hit someone with a wooden plank. Do that. Where is the coverage of this on corporate media? Where is the statement from Democrats on this? It is non-existent, as they are literally creating a story out of nowhere with no evidence about how anti-genocide protesters are violent. They're literally crafting a story out of nowhere, and white Americans are choosing to believe it because they have to believe it. Because if they don't believe it and they believe that we are actually funding a genocidal government, and they actually have to admit that they're engaged in colonialism, their entire life shatters. These entire people who supported Zionism their entire life, these entire people was told a lie about how they are peace-loving and the other people are the savages. If they acknowledge that we are right, it was completely shattered their reality. So because they don't want to do that, we are seeing them engage in fascism. Here's Hotspot, once again highlighting this. Zionists raised $50,000 in 5 days. In 5 days. To physically assault and potentially kill protesters. Where is the story on the New York Times about this? We literally have ads. We literally live in a new age of the Pinkertons, where Zionists are hiring a private militia to attack people who are protesting AIPAC-funded candidates in their foreign policy. Do you guys understand the insane times that we are living through right now? What we are living through is literally the craziest times I could possibly thought. We are seeing Zionism completely be exposed. People are completely turning against Zionism, and we're seeing what I knew what was going to happen. Like when we talk about this in theory, we knew that when Zionism at its deathbed, when capitalism is really challenged, you're really going to see the fascism come out. Us tankies, we have a famous phrase we like to repeat. When you scratch a liberal, a fascist bleeds. That's what we like to say. When you scratch a liberal, a fascist bleeds. And now we're seeing fascist blood all over this country right now. Because the fascism of these liberals, they are all Zionists, is being exposed. Because these same people have no problem with this. We have celebrity and we have capitalists that are funding private militias to squash dissent. Guys, we are living in a new age of fascism. If you don't believe me, don't take my word for it. Study history. Look at what fascism is. I promise you guys, if you think I am full of shit, guys, that's okay. Listen to what I'm saying right now. Go back and read the books. Read history and study the movements of fascism. And then once you guys do that, then you guys will realize I'm right. Because I've done that. When people talk about the current age they live through, they usually don't talk about with the gravitas of historians. Like, for example, during World War I, they wasn't calling it World War I. A lot of people during World War I, they just call it the Great War, for example. And then we look back at it and we're like, holy shit, that was World War. You know what I mean? They didn't call it the Cold War. It was economic policies to keep the Soviet Union in check. We are living through a new era of fascism where we have the collaborators, the collaborators with the fascists. So what socialists have been warning you guys is that the rise of fascism is possible with capitalist collaborators. Collaborators of the fascist class are capitalists who then fund fascist projects. Now look at what we have right here. Jessica Seinfeld and Bill Ackman fund pro-Israeli counter-protests at colleges. We are witnessing the new age of collaboration within fascism right now between the capitalist class and the private militias. We are seeing violently assault people who are opposing genocide, which is why we're seeing the corporate media, the same fascist collaborators, spread propaganda on behalf of the fascists. Guys, I use words very carefully. If you follow RBN a very long time ago, you guys remember I used to mock people who would just call like the average Trump supporter fascist. I used to hate when the Bernie Sanders left did that. When they would just call the average person who was tricked by propaganda, who voted for Trump because they were tricked by propaganda, they would call them fascists. I mean, you can't call the person who's a victim of propaganda a fascist. These people are our neighbors. We got to reach these people. I hated that they called them fascists. I call it, you guys are ruining what a fascist is by just calling the average Trump supporter a fascist. We need to be careful with our words. But what we're seeing right here, and this is why I warn people against just blindly calling anyone who opposes liberal social issues. Like I tend to be very socially liberal myself. But anyone who just opposes socially liberal issues is not a fascist. What we're seeing right now is true fascism at work. Our much beloved class trader, PMC class trader, Saul Rod, who explains how she just grabbed a screenshot from LA Times before they edited the headlines, because this is a phenomenon that you notice if you follow this story for a very long time, that every once in a while a story will creep in where they use the proper language, and then the editor will get hit up by their Zionist masters and they will change the title. It's one of the things that you guys have to see it. You guys have to know what I'm talking about to know what I understand. But it happens all the time, and that's what Saul calling out. She said that's why she grabbed a screenshot before the Zionists hit the editor up to have them change it, because they do that all the time. 4 UCLA student journalists attacked by pro-Israel counter-protesters on campus. Where is the Morning Joe segment on this? You guys understand the examples that they've been using for violent anti-genocide protesters is they were chanting stuff. They will literally say these protesters are violent because they're chanting stuff and they are making people feel uncomfortable. In order to smear the anti-genocide protests, they had to use a very broad definition of violence. Meanwhile, we literally have evidence and stories of Israelis attacking student journalists. Meanwhile, complete fucking crickets. Complete fucking crickets, my friends. Why America is too afraid to touch it? They know who their masters are. That's why, like I lost all respect for Matt Taibbi after the Sabby Sabs interview, because Matt Taibbi, he was like, I don't want to talk about Israel. It's complicated. No, it's not. Fuck out of here. And fuck anyone who says that. Matt Taibbi and all these white Americans, they know who their masters are, and they don't want to cross them. They don't want to cross the fascist masters of this country who weaponize their capital, who has a private militia in the police force as well. You have the police that was literally helping the terrorists, shaking their hands afterwards. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, here it is. Here it is. My dumb ass forgot to save it. Look at this. Meanwhile, motherfuckers was arguing against defund the police. Motherfuckers like, you can't argue for the police. Who's going to protect us? If you guys are only listening to this right now, this is a picture of the police shaking hands with the people who was part of the attack on the UCLA encampment last night. There are these pictures floating everywhere on my timeline. You guys know my timeline is based. You guys know RBN community based. So these pictures are everywhere. These cops fucking shaking these people's hands, protecting them. We're seeing collaborations between the police and private militias against people who oppose the policies of the state. Fam, what is that defined as? What is that a tenet of? That is fascism. That is literally what we saw in Italy. That is literally what we've seen in Nazi Germany. That literally what I said it before. I hate people that always use Germany. We see that in Ukraine. Because I do hate people that use that always invoke Hitler too, because they have no other historical knowledge. What is it called? Godwin's Law, when you always talk about Germany and Hitler. We got many modern versions of that, like in Ukraine. We have private militias team up with the Azov Battalion to oppose socialist movements and worker movements. This is a very common characteristic of fascism, and we are seeing it today. And you have people who are quote unquote right-wing capitalists. I'm sorry, what am I talking about? I'm sorry, I'm tired. Right-wing populists who are siding with this. Here is a friend at hospital.
Hold on a second.
You have LAPD riot police move in on the UCLA encampment, and they fire pepper balls. They were firing rubber bullets, and they wasn't attacking the encampment and doing all this while completely ignoring the counter protesters that was engaging in violence against the people who are protesting against genocide. But this is a story that Matt Taibbi is not interested in. This is the story that Tim Pool said. He like, you guys got Israel derangement syndrome. All these white people, because they know who their masters are. Journalists like, oh, I'm not interested in this. You literally got private militias being bankrolled by the capitalist class, teaming up with the police state, and white journalists are not interested in this. So this is more footage of this. Yeah, I think I got through it. Oh, let's go. Your boy had a long week, guys. Your boy had a long week. It was a very fun week, though.